podcast is some ratchet shit, baby.
Somebody tried to tell me to be humble, okay?
Bitch, what? But humble gets you nowhere.
It's Demi and Kay. We dropping jewels every day. Come take a listen. This room in my kitchen. We cook with whatever we say. Nah, no little mama. We not telling you what to do. We just want y'all to think a little different, so we delivering the truth. This shit is for proof, man. Let us be the goose, man. Learn from my fuck ups. Get your shit right. Focus on you, man. You a god in your own right. Gotta just rewrite your life. No one has the power to dim your shit. Don't let them bitches fight.
We handling pressure.
We dropping jewels.
We changing hearts.
And we breaking rules.
We schooling life.
Bitches just us two.
We dropping jewels.
Ooh, yeah, we dropping jewels.
Ooh, come and kick it. Cheers up while we speeding. Just to mess, we always blessed. Yeah, baby, we living. Hear this wisdom. These jewels is always giving. The keys of life, cause it's your right. Please don't come up missing, cause when life get hard. Gotta make the move it. Gotta follow your heart. And know your inner jewels. Drop it like it's hot. Know it's life in you. Pressure makes diamonds. Tune in, come get these jewels.
We just want y'all to
Listen.
30 minutes of us tripping. We dropping some jewels, creating less fools. Oh, while we
Sipping.
We just want y'all to
Listen.
30 minutes of us
Tripping.
These jewels are for you, cause we learned them, boo. Let's talk about it, what we
Sipping. Ooh.
It's split.
Ooh.
Demi shit. Come on, y'all. Like, comment, subscribe. Eloquent evening.
God and goddesses.
It's your girl Jay, also known as Jay Demi, and I'm here again with the best co-host with the fucking moves.
It's your girl K Vex, and I'm here with my gorgeous sis, and we're here to drop another one. Another one.
Maybe one, maybe two, maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know. We want to drop them for 30 minutes
Of your life.
Bing bong. Alright, so today is definitely more informative or whatever. Because we're gonna talk about self-care
And suicide.
and suicide, okay? If you did not see our mental health and mental illness episode, please go back and watch it. This is kind of like a sequel to that, because there's so much to unpack when you talk about mental health that we didn't really get to tap in to every aspect of struggles that people have and things like that. So today we're going to talk about self-care and suicide, and I felt like along with talking about suicide, because let's be real, it's 2022. I know a lot of us were scared of COVID, but in the year of 2019 and the year of 2020, suicide rates were higher than COVID death rates. A lot of people don't know that. But if COVID scared you, suicide should fucking terrify you, bitch.
That part too.
You should be shaking in your boots every time you see somebody who's going through something. And I felt like we needed to talk about the way that we care for ourselves as a lighter side to go with the traumatic things, because I feel like us loving ourselves and caring for ourselves is what gets us through those moments.
And this year we're going through a close. We're getting closer towards the end of the year, so a lot of people look back in December, November on how they're going to set their intentions for the new year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we wanted to discuss everything that impacts making those changes.
Right.
But in a way that's healthy and informative and also personal.
I feel like we all have to love ourselves, especially in the moments where our mind might not be in the right place. And I think, like I said on the mental health episode, we need to be more vocal and kind of watch. So, the first thing that I want to talk about in regards to suicidal thoughts is traumatic experiences. The reason that I say that is because I really think that anytime I've had a suicide attempt, it was after something traumatic had happened, or during something traumatic happening or right before something traumatic happened. With that being said, I think that every time that I had a suicidal thought, if you locked me up in an institution every single time, you might have been wasting someone's tax money because
You didn't go.
I didn't
to
need
the
it each
extent.
time.
Yeah.
And there is this stigma, like, oh, a person wants attention. Like, you know, people be on social media like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself, or boyfriends. I don't know. I guess men are doing this, where they're calling women saying they're gonna kill themselves if they don't come back.
Or if they break up with them. I've seen that.
I didn't know that was a thing.
Very toxic.
Yeah.
Very manipulative.
Yeah.
But sometimes, in worst cases, also very truthful.
Right. Yeah. And I think, I just think anytime somebody says that, and I don't care if they are doing it to get attention, something's wrong. Something needs to be addressed. Something's happening. Because I definitely feel like for me, anytime that I felt that way or anytime I've had an attempt, it was, I was in a dark spot mentally, or feeling some sort of loss in some way, or missing the feeling of value.
Okay.
Right. So I want, this is a tough subject, it really is. But I'm glad we're doing it because I think a lot of people need to have this conversation. But I think whenever somebody says it, even if they are doing it just for attention, it shouldn't be ignored. Now at the same time, we all know the story about the little boy who cried wolf. So how do you feel
About suicide?
about people who do it for attention?
I think it's deeper than what it's a cry for help, first and foremost. Because most people that do perform suicide to that last extent, most cases are not, they haven't told anybody that they're about to deal with it. In some instances. But when it is, I want to reach out, tell this person I'm at a really difficult spot and I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. It's giving someone the opportunity to step up and give you a level of care that you're not getting in your life from anyone.
Understandable. And I definitely agree.
It's a hard judgment to see. It's hard to say like, oh no, you're just bullshitting, like,
Right.
because you really don't know where that person's mental state is.
But people do that, yeah.
Unfortunately.
People do that. But you touched on something where you were mentioning, how did you say it? You just said something.
That most people that go through with suicide,
They don't tell anybody.
they don't tell anyone until they're literally about to take that jump or about to hang. Like, excuse me, I know this is pretty graphic, but
Yeah.
about to hang themselves.
We're
or,
here. We all, I feel like, we're in a world where Jeffrey Dahmer can eat people on television. So, but yeah. I've had myself 5 suicide attempts in my life. 5 full-blown attempts.
That's crazy.
The 5th one, I really can't say it was an attempt. I just had an opportunity. I could have did something to stop the car crash, but I just didn't. I just let God decide what was gonna happen. But yeah, 5 suicide attempts. But like thinking about it, right? People still to this day try to tell me that I can control my thoughts. And I do believe people have the ability to control their thoughts once they're strong enough to do that. It is a muscle. So when I was a kid, I used to bang my head into the wall when I would get mad. Because, one, it got other people to understand how much in pain I was. That they weren't understanding I was in that pain beforehand, number one. So I guess that's another attention, right? Technically. And then, two, because the pain from my head hurting was better than all the bad thoughts that were happening inside my head. I used to put bags over my head. My cousins used to have to rip them. I used to layer bags and tie them over my head to try to suffocate myself. This is all as a kid. We're talking about 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know?
I think that's partly why my mom is like super overprotective of me to an extent, because jumping out the window, trying to go into the oven or into the dryer because I just didn't want to live anymore.
Hard.
It's hard.
Hard.
And it's like, it's hard when you deal with those heavy thoughts as an 8, 9, 10-year-old, and then you become a teenager and you go through something traumatic and you haven't figured out a way to cope with any of that other than inflicting pain on yourself, because that's the only way people are going to understand your pain.
That's crazy. It's really like my brain on fucking drugs. Literally my brain on fucking drugs.
And then you result in relying on alcohol,
drugs,
pills, sex,
people,
because in thrills, like
relationships.
I went through a really dark time where I just was chasing thrills because I wanted to feel something other than the numbness that I felt like my life wasn't going to get better. And I would put not only myself in harm's way, but other people in harm's way too, because they're like, bitch, you don't give a fuck whether you live or die. Like, and it's hard acknowledging that like something's wrong, because you've gotten so accustomed to, I only can deal with this by myself, or no one understands my pain, or no one can correlate or relate to anything that I'm going through,
or understand, or give a fuck, or just care. Like, and I really think, like, the people, I feel like the people who commit suicide or attempt suicide, people look at them as weak, right? Like, the idea is like, oh, they're weak, they gave up on life, they didn't want to continue, whatever, right? But really, that motherfucker is strong. They not picking up the phone, calling nobody. They dealing with it on their own, and they see that as their way out. Like, this is like, they probably to them have tried everything.
And this goes back to the whole check on your strong friends. Most of the time, your friends that are laughing or that you're calling in crisis every single time are not only carrying their own baggage of things that they're going through, like they're carrying yours too.
Yep.
And they get to a point where I can't even help you because I can't help myself. So what is the point of me even being there?
Right.
Then you question your purpose. You question the reason why God even placed you on this earth. If you're not, you feel like if you're not good for anybody, why the fuck am I here?
Okay. So I'm glad you touched on that. Again, we're going to be very candid. I don't want anyone to be triggered, so I'm going to give a high trigger warning. In 2017, I graduated college with my bachelor's degree in May of 2017. In March of 2017, it was a spiral, okay? And I think that people need to take into effect that, again, this is why I say these people are strong, that I had a lot, and I'm about to go down the list of the lot, okay? I went to a friend's house. I was drinking with them. You know, I think I had like 1 or 2 glasses of wine, nothing crazy. You know, I sat around and I'm talking to them, and I'm listening to all their shit, their mom's shit. We're just talking about like just basically a big shit show, okay? So when I leave there, I go to the gas station. I give the guy a $20 bill, and I asked for $5 in gas. He gave me $5 back. I said, I didn't give you 10, I gave you 20, right? So I'm about to press the issue at this point because I'm like, nah, like you, like bitch, pull the cameras out, like bitch, I'm. So the guy's like, oh, I'm like, oh, I'm on the phone. At this point, I'm on the phone with my father. I tell my dad, I'm like, yeah, I'm about to call the police or whatever, da 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 da. Because the guy won't give me correct change. This is that and the third or whatever. My dad like, no, just get in the car, just get in the car. I'm like, no, like he not gonna get over on me. Like that's a whole fucking $10. Like, and at the time, I really think I had $20 to my name. Like I think that was my last $10. So I'm like, no, like I'm not about to let him get away with that. No, da 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 da. And my dad's like, Jewel, do not call the police. Your car is not insured. My car was on my grandmother's insurance. My grandmother was in the hospital. And my dad was supposed to be paying the insurance. Well, he had let the policy lapse. Okay. So I'm driving now, and now I'm stressed because I don't got no fucking money now. Now I'm finding out that I'm driving around illegally. Like my car is not insured. On top of that, I started talking about the fact that my grandmother's in the hospital because at the time we were scared about her situation. This was the the middle of my last semester, and I was on the verge of failing a class that I needed in order to graduate. Okay? Everything is against me right now. Everything is against me. I'm driving and I'm going down the list of everything that's wrong in my life. I'm verbally speaking it out to my father. Before that though, my constant question to God when I was in my dark moments and I was having thoughts that I guess most would classify as suicidal thoughts, I just kept asking like, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? Like I don't have a purpose. Like there's no purpose. Like I'm just here to go through shit. Like that's how I felt. So I was feeling purposeless, right? Hopeless. So I'm verbalizing it and I'm spiraling. I'm saying it out loud, crying as I'm driving. And as I'm driving, it's raining, okay? As I'm driving, I'm not realizing that I'm speeding up. So as I'm getting more and more hyper, my anxiety is rising because I'm crying and I'm hyperventilating and all this other shit. I don't realize that the car is speeding up. My only thought, when I realized that car was going too fast and I wasn't going to be able to stop that bitch, don't hit nobody else, Jewel. That was my only thought. Don't hit nobody else. Try to press on my brake. The car in front of me was stopped, swerve over. Almost hit another car, swerve back over. About to go into the median, but if I had went into the median, I would have kept the car and flipped over to somebody else's car on the other side. So I'm like, oh, I gotta swerve back over. Swerve back over. Mind you, I'm on the phone with my father this whole time. I ain't screamed, made a noise. I'm still talking to him as this is all happening. Swerve one way, car slides, swerve back the other way. I go off the road. There is a lake, okay? There's trees and then there's a lake. My car hit 4 trees, my nigga. There were no skid marks. I never pressed on the brakes. I never screamed once. My father didn't know I was in a car accident until he heard people running up. Everybody that I almost hit, all 4 cars stopped when they saw my car hit 4 trees. They all thought I was dead. If anybody was in my passenger side, anybody was in my back seat, if anybody was in a car with me at all, they would have been dead. Car totaled, my nigga. Done. I got out that bitch walking. I jumped out the car, grabbed my purse. I grabbed my purse, then grabbed my car keys. And everybody's trying to find out my name. They waiting, the police is there because they didn't already called the police saying that I was about to crash before I even crashed. I guess when I got an ambulance, I passed out. Because when I came to, I was in the hospital in a wheelchair waiting to be seen. My boyfriend had drove past the car accident. He didn't know it was me.
This was before y'all were dating?
No, we were dating. This is why we were dating. Amari was 1. Amari was 1. Yep. And he drove past me not realizing it was me. And my father called him and was like, Jules just got in a car accident. I'm going to the hospital. Da, da, da. He's like, what? Where? And he was like, on Route 38. He instantly started panicking because he saw all the ambulance, the cops, the people, all the trees. He saw everything except the car. The only thing he didn't see was the car. My father went to the site, took a picture of the car, and sent the picture to Ink. So when I wake up, I come to, and I'm walking up to me, and I'm like, I'm good. I'm good. Let's just go home. I fucked up, face fucked up, glass gashes in my eye and shit. Lip fucked up. I'm like, yo, I'm good. I'm just sore, but I'm okay. Like, let's go home. I'm like, we need to go get my car. My dad like, go get your car. I'm like, yeah. Like, why you say it like that? He's like, Drew, that car is done. I just found out I don't have insurance. I owe 10 grand on this car. I owe 10 grand on this car that don't have insurance that I just got in a car accident. So you would think, right, maybe in that moment I would feel even lower. That car accident had to happen. I wouldn't be sitting right here right now talking to y'all, doing this podcast, having any conversations, trying to better myself, being there for my kids. I would not be alive had that car accident not happened. All right, so my graduation pictures were the next day, which was Monday. Had that accident not happened, I wouldn't feel the purpose that I have now. Even though I don't know exactly what the purpose is, I'm still figuring that out. I just know that there is one. But I had to go through that traumatic experience in order for me to feel that way or see that. But my graduation pictures were the next day. I was not gonna go. Because my eye was big, it was black, I had slashes from the glass. Like, I still have the sweater. I don't know why I won't throw it away, but the sweater that I wore that night at a car accident, I won't throw it away, and it's like ripped and like has like big cut on the arm. It's like, I don't know why I won't throw it away. I just don't want to. I don't know why, but I just don't want to. But that, I think, was my closest moment to death. Because my other suicide attempt that I think was like really big, was feeling low, was feeling worthless. I just got cheated on by someone that I felt like I was like basically taking care of, like doing everything I could. And another involving the car. I locked myself in the car and I was drinking a Long Island iced tea, and I took a whole bottle of Percocets. And my grandmother saw it, and my grandmother called the hospital. Called the police for them to come and take me to the hospital. I say that to say I've definitely been in some very dark moments. I think the thing that helps me now cope when I'm in those dark moments is just understanding it's just a moment. And I feel like we're all tasked with the duty to dig deep in ourselves when we see something is wrong. And we're starting to notice that these thoughts are happening. I don't want to say I think the thoughts are normal, but this is what I will say. I know a lot of people that have experienced them, or have experienced them, or go through their moments, or may have had an attempt. But I definitely think it's a lesson. And I think it gives you like a false sense of like strength or importance, kind of, you know, because to me it's like when a person is attempting to take their own life and are really try and are unsuccessful, that's a really good thing to fucking lose at, if you ask me. But the things that help me in those dark moments is trying to see where it's rooted from, and talking to people. I definitely would not have graduated college because right after the car accident I had a final that was coming up, and I just wasn't in the right mindset, and I was just gonna say fuck it, and I needed to take that exam to graduate. I would not have my bachelor's degree right now if I didn't call my cousin breaking down about life, and that test being like the beginning of it was an online exam, and I was not going to take the test, and he talked me into just taking it. And I don't know what God and that professor did, but somehow that grade that I got on that test was good enough for me to get a D in the class, and it's literally the lowest grade I have in my college career. But even that symbolizes something for me because I was going through heavy shit. You know how many times I went to fucking class and I didn't want to? I was working full time. I was going to school full time. It was a lot on my shoulders. Now I realize that I need a moment for me. Now when I deal with those dark moments, I will take a second and go somewhere and do something for myself. You know, Kayla has helped me have this new love of doing nails, guys. So when I be needing to calm down, I'm like, let me do something to my nails. So I feel like self-love could be anything. It could be surrounding yourself with the right people, and I feel like that helps me too. The lack of a safe space is, I think, what's dangerous. Because when you don't feel safe enough to talk about what you're going through, you leave a lot of things out and you don't talk about it. And the only way you can show someone else that you care about yourself or have any type of self-love at all is to love you. Like, people are gonna, right, you have to show up for yourself first before you can count on somebody else to show up for you. But thankfully, this is why I say people is a big part of myself, my own self-care, my own self-love, and my sanity, because sometimes I don't, and I don't feel great, and I need to talk to somebody else so they can help me feel better. So like, as long as you're not doing something that's going to hurt you, you're fine. As long as you're not doing toxic shit, to cool. Don't get me wrong, sometimes I get mad and I do need a fucking drink, but I'm not drinking every time bad shit happens. I'm not drinking daily. You know, I'm not turning to Percocets. I'm not turning to fucking cocaine. Oh man, 2022, man. There's a lot of things that we can turn to, and everything is okay in moderation. You have to realize when you're using, what do you call it? You're using a vice.
A vice. It's like you're tempted to check in and like, okay, I'm obviously not addressing something that's heavy for me, and I'm reliant too much on my vices to the point where I'm harming myself, which is then turning around, changing my behavior and harming the relationships that I've cultivated. It's like a cry for help with the people that you care about. And it's like the moment that you see your friend, like, no offense, if you go out with your friends and you see that one friend that's like shots everybody or let's go do some reckless ass shit, like, as a friend you should be like, okay, I'm cool to do the crazy shit with you, but are you okay?
Right.
Like, that's your opportunity to really stand up for the people that aren't even advocating for themselves. And a lot of people miss that because they see you can laugh through your pain, or you can joke about your pain, or you cannot even speak up about your pain, but your behaviors are showing that you're in deep pain. And it's just like, you still feel that form of isolation because people are just assuming, oh, she's just crazy, or she's just here for a good time. And the whole time you're dying.
You're fucking dying inside, and there's a fucking problem that's not being addressed.
And people aren't realizing or picking up on the signs. Not saying that it's their responsibility, but when you care about somebody, you want to care about them with the same level of care that you will want someone to care about you with, and the same level of care that you care about yourself. So all to say this, self-care is literally just a temp check on loving on you, so that when you go to exchange that same energy for your loved ones, you're showing up and creating spaces for them that you would like to be created for yourself as well.
Absolutely. Do things that are going to make you feel good, and don't let those dark moments and dark thoughts take over you. Don't succumb to suicide. There's a lot of numbers to call, and we're gonna leave them there for you.
Yes.
Make sure y'all come back next week. And thanks again for giving us 30 minutes of your life.